Welcome to Latte with a Lawyer, a podcast dedicated to bringing you the stories of some of America's most successful lawyers, figuring out what makes them tick, how they creatively solve problems, and how others aspiring to be them can follow in their footsteps.
Okay, folks, welcome to another episode of Latte with a Lawyer. I'm your host, Jonathan Brickman, and this afternoon we have with us from Texas, Keelin Hargadon from the firm of, and I'm going to read it, Osha Bergman Watanabe and Burton, OBWB.
That's right.
Excellent. Good. Nice to have you.
Thank you.
Excellent. I know it's the afternoon, but this is Latte with a Lawyer. So how do you get started every day? What's your morning beverage?
It kind of rotates, but right now I'm on a big kick of trying to get as much collagen into my aging body as I can. So I'm drinking these green tea collagen lattes that I mix with oat milk. And of course it has caffeine in it too, because I don't think I could make it through the day without that.
Oh, nice. Oh, I mean, I talked to someone else earlier that told me they were injecting all these things in their coffee. I mean, the only thing I inject is a little milk and like a Splenda or something. That's about it. Maybe I should try collagen too.
Well, I mean, I can't speak to whether or not it's helped me. And I've actually read articles that say that it's pointless, but whatever.
You know, the placebo effect. I mean, I don't know.
Right.
Anyway, that's interesting. Yeah, we're all fighting gravity, aren't we, as we get older? So that's okay.
Yeah.
So tell us about your work. What kind of law you practice?
So I practice intellectual property, and I love intellectual property. It was exactly what I wanted to do, specifically trademark law. And I got the inspiration because I started working at Dell when I lived in Austin as a paralegal in their intellectual property department.
Okay.
And I met two lawyers there. I mean, I met several lawyers there that I still keep in touch with to this day.
Oh, nice.
But, two of them were the trademark attorneys, and they were both just the loveliest people, and they seemed to really enjoy their job, and they both gave back, and it seemed interesting to me at that time. So I was extremely fortunate and still so grateful that I was able to find a job specifically practicing trademark law.
Huh. I mean, it's interesting that you knew that right away. I mean, that's quite a focus to have that.
It is. Well, there's a couple of reasons behind that, and I'm probably going to take off the rest of my attorney compatriots here, but I feel like trademark people are nicer. You know, and that may be because, you know, I just enjoy it so much. I look past the various character flaws, but you know, I don't do very much litigation. And that was another reason that I really wanted to do trademark law.
Okay.
I am a single parent, and I'm actually one of the only single parents that's also a partner in a law firm. So I knew that if I went into trademark and brand protection, generally those jobs have predictable hours. You know, you're dealing with the US government, and no one's staying there past 5 p.m. So it's very easy to, you know, if you're organized, to set your schedule up so that, you know, I am able to pick up my kids in the afternoon. I am able to take them to, you know, their sporting events and whatnot.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And so that flexibility is incredibly important to me. You know, the deadlines, you know when they are. They're never on the weekends. And it just, I think that it's been the greatest decision for me career-wise.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, at the end of the day, everybody's got to find their place where they're happy, and right?
That's right.
So
point of life.
Yeah, you found it, which is great. So you don't litigate then, and that's by design.
Yes, I'm not to say that I have not dabbled. I have, and you know, I had a great time doing it, but for my time, I need to be able to predict, you know, when something is going to be due or needs to be over to a client, or, and you know, whatnot.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's kind of like medicine, where people choose to be anesthesiologist or where they can. It's more flexible, and they were able to manage their life better. So
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. What are the areas of law you're able to do that where it's more predictable?
Well, anything that is kind of in the prosecution area, which is my firm actually is heavily based in patent prosecution. So any of those careers that, especially in IP, that are non-litigation, that are more prosecution, and what I mean by that is procuring trademark registrations or registered patents from the U.S. government. I think that those all and other transactional types agreements and whatnot is a little more predictable. Litigation can just go crazy on you. Where you have to spend multiple nights and weekends, and
Yeah.
that doesn't work for me. When I said I was a single parent, I'm actually a solo parent because my children's father passed away a couple of years ago. So
Okay.
all of the responsibilities for parenting are on me, and so this is really having a predictable schedule makes my life and their life so much easier.
Oh, I see. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So it's process, it's documentation, it's more technical as opposed to, litigating where you're in a courtroom and you're having to, build an argument and all that stuff, right? This is very technical in nature, what you're doing. Is that right?
Well, yeah, part of it is, and then the other part of my job that I absolutely love is the enforcement section. Where our clients have registered trademarks, and there's an infringement issue or there's a counterfeiting issue, and it involves a lot of research to track these down and to figure out what kind of solutions that you have at your hands. And another reason I love IP is that the options for enforcement are always changing because there's new technology every day. There's a bunch of buzz around NFTs and cryptocurrencies, and all of IP has applications in the new technologies too.
Right.
So you're always learning. You can't just sit back and stay stagnant. You're going to get left behind.
Mm. Well, I had people come after me. I had a blog. I've been writing a blog here for a long time, and I had Getty Images come after me because I used an image
Yeah.
and they
I hear
extracted
that a
money.
lot.
You
Oh,
do?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's copyright. Copyright has the statute has very sharp teeth. So yeah, and that's such a common problem I hear. People assume that using an image that you find on the internet it's acceptable to put that on your website. And
Right.
a lot of times, I don't think that it's malicious. I think it's just a lack of knowledge.
Well, it definitely is a lack of knowledge, but it's interesting that they were able to find that. So there's obviously some hooks in it where they could tell, and they extracted a good bit of money from me for it.
Yeah.
I said, this, I'm not in it to make money. It's just content. I'm not making any money. I'm not monetizing it in any way.
And they probably said, we don't care, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the areas that the firm does a lot of litigation in that I also find fascinating is architectural copyright infringement. And
Mm,
we one of our attorneys, Louis Bonham, is a copyright guru, and he's just an incredible attorney. And he has litigated a lot of these cases, and it's another area of law where I think people really don't realize that they are breaking the law, and there are heavy damages involved in those cases, and they multiply based on how many houses have been constructed.
right.
And in addition, if someone is living in a house that has infringed the architectural plans of someone else, you can send a cease and desist letter telling that person that lives in the house that if they sell it, that's another act of infringement for which they are liable.
Uh,
So
so
yeah.
do people in your firm litigate those cases?
Oh, yes, we have a very strong litigation department.
Oh, you
Uh-huh.
do? Okay.
Yes, we do. So the firm is an IP boutique, very large by boutique standards. We are international. We have offices in several different countries
Okay.
and across the US. So we do patent, trade secret, trademark, copyright. We do litigation pertaining to all of those subjects. We do a lot of patent prosecution and trademark prosecution, and then just general agreements, licensing, transactional work. We do
Mm,
due diligence for companies where, you need to assert or you need to assess whether or not the ownership is in the correct entity and the assignments are in place and whatnot. So intellectual property really touches so many areas of people's lives. I don't think that, you think about that.
Oh yeah, for sure. How many lawyers in the firm?
I believe we have somewhere around 30 internationally.
Oh, 30. What other places are you?
We are in Paris, Hangzhou, China,
All right.
Beijing,
Sure.
Tokyo.
Asia. So a lot in Asia. Where did the firm start?
The firm started in Houston, but it has always, or let me rephrase that. Traditionally, it has had a very strong base in Asian patent work.
Okay.
So, and that was, I believe one of the reasons that the Tokyo office was open was, to kind of facilitate those, helping the clients that were based there. So yeah, historically speaking, that has been sort of the base of the firm is Asian patent work, but that is not the case, I wouldn't say, anymore. We have a very robust and very diverse practice. We have, our firm consists of chemists and electrical engineers, computer scientists. We have educations ranging from, master's degree to PhDs. The firm also does not have a whole lot of lawyers because it is really heavily based in patent prosecution. One of our business models is to hire engineers and have the attorney supervise the engineers' work. They're drafting the patent application and whatnot.
I see.
Obviously, yeah, that is for the patent side. If for trademarks, you have to be a licensed U.S. attorney to practice in the trademark office.
Well, there's a lot of IP. I was curious about that because obviously, IP and trademark and there's a lot of issues in the Far East, right? China, et cetera. Still.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. One of the areas that I have been working in recently is counterfeiting and anti-counterfeiting efforts. The luxury brands specifically are always chasing down counterfeits coming specifically in the case that I was working on from China. And it was a import of counterfeit Louis Vuitton bags. And
I think my wife has one of those.
No, she doesn't. You're going to get a letter from Louis Vuitton next. But yeah, so Louis Vuitton actually orchestrated sort of a sting operation and followed the package to this woman's house, and she was in trouble. So it's a huge problem.
Really, they chase down those things. No kidding, but they're everywhere. They're ubiquitous, aren't they?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of them. But yeah, it's a big problem. But it's not just a problem for the big luxury brands. It's a problem for anything really right now. Like sneakers, anything that has
anything. I mean,
yeah, it has a resale value, especially with the advancement of the e-selling platforms where people are self-authenticate the goods, or they have an expert that authenticates the goods before they're listed. I personally have seen counterfeit goods on those sites myself. So it's a huge problem, and all of these things are based in trademark law.
I mean, listen, you go to New York City in Chinatown down by Canal Street and go in the back room, and they're just full of counterfeit goods.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I mean, I have seen some here in Houston too.
Yeah. I'm sure in a place like Houston, it's probably all over the place. Big city, international.
Exactly.
Yeah. Interesting. So I didn't realize that even bothered chase down that stuff. I certainly with intellectual property around software, IT, hardware, that's a huge problem.
Yes.
I think you'd focus on that, but goods that are knocked off and stuff, really. So people are trying to chase that stuff down too.
And if the Border Patrol or Customs opens a package of counterfeit goods, they can destroy those. They are not to be passed through to go on their merry way to the consumer because they are counterfeit products.
So what happens if a consumer is caught with these things? I mean, is it even, what are the chances? I would imagine they're remote that someone's going to find you carrying.
Well, the problem is not, or the concern is not necessarily with the individual who has a counterfeit bag. It's with the people who are importing counterfeits with the intent to sell them.
But that liability doesn't get passed on to the consumer.
I'm not really sure about that. I know that I don't know what happens to you if you get caught with a counterfeit. I'm not sure who would catch you.
There are loads of people walking around with those, right? Loads.
Right. But the enforcement efforts, I think, are based in more realistic options, like trying to stop them at the border before they come into the country, and then you have to chase them down. So that you can register your trademark with the Customs Border Patrol, and then sort of put together a little educational talk that you give to these Customs and Border Patrol agents, teaching them how to learn what is a counterfeit, what is not, because obviously the real goods will have certain characteristics that the counterfeits do not.
I would imagine that's a little bit tricky. That takes some education. Maybe with AI, it's easier to figure that stuff out, probably.
Yeah, well, listen, I have not vouched for how successful this is. I really don't know. But, there's even TV shows based around these enforcement efforts now on National Geographic. I'm sure I'm probably the only person who watches them. But, it's fodder for TV shows now.
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting stuff. Okay. I learned something new today. So, you said you knew you wanted to be, a trademark attorney. How did that start? Like, how did you even get interested in thinking about law? Like, anyone in your family a lawyer?
Yeah, my dad is a lawyer, and so I of course, my parents are my heroes. So he had a very successful career, and I guess you kind of know what is shown for you at home, modeled for you. So thinking about careers, I didn't want to do science and go and be a vet. So I did like law. I always did like law. And so it's kind of just what I knew. I knew that I could probably support myself and the kids with, being a lawyer with this career.
Got it. How many kids you have?
I have two.
Two kids. I can see them on your mantle behind
Yes.
you. Okay, good. That's a lot of work. So you've figured out how to structure your life around that.
Yeah. In theory.
Yeah.
There's still days when it doesn't work out so well, but yeah.
Sure. Yeah, no, I get it. No, I got two kids, and one is a junior in college, the other one's just getting started. So
So you have an empty house.
Soon, although I'm still an ATM machine, so even
hey, I'm not sure if that ever ends.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
So you find your place in law. What would you say to a young lawyer who is thinking about getting into legal profession now? What would your advice be?
Gosh, that's really hard because, unfortunately, there's a lot of things about law that I really find distasteful.
Yeah.
And I think if you really have to have a passion for whatever it is that you're doing, because if you don't have a passion for it, you're going to burn out. And, I knew that I was not going to be able to bill, to keep up with the people at these big law firms ever, nor do I want to, honestly. I have a life. I like to spend time with my kids. I like to spend time with my friends. I work to live. I don't live to work. So, I think that you really, if you're going to choose law, you really need to think very carefully about whether or not you're going to have to take out student loans, because you could choose another career that perhaps did not require an advanced degree and kill it there, and go on about your life without owning a small house in student loans like I do.
Yeah.
But, and then, like I said, litigation isn't really for me. I prefer to research and, argue on paper, essentially. But other people are not like that. And
Sure.
I am glad that there are other people that want to do other types of law. I think if you have a passion for it, that's the most important thing, because if you're not passionate about it, you're going to be unhappy.
Yeah. I mean, how do you find the area law? I mean, you landed on this, but I mean, how do you find it? I mean, to fit your, personality, your interests, right? There's lots of different areas you can go into. What's the best way to find what's right for you?
I mean, I think you need to think about things that interest you. I knew that, in trademarks, well, trademarks, I mean, touches every aspect of, anything you can think of. I have learned more things about oil and gas field equipment and, drilling chemicals and, mechanical parts for, you know, printing presses, just by virtue of practicing trademark law. But I do love to write on and read about the intersection of trademark and IP and pop culture.
Mm,
So, to me, that's fun. It's modern. There's a lot of fashion um, crossover. There's a lot of pop culture crossover, and that I really find that very interesting.
mm.
I also, like, I know I've said this a couple of times, I love to research. And so, if there's an enforcement issue, I love to have that project on my desk and kind of dig in. And I mean, you can go to the end of the internet some days, looking for these solutions. But, you know, providing the client with a good, quick service is really rewarding to me.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. Well, maybe you could have been a researcher in a lab if you weren't a lawyer. I mean, it sounds like you like that,
Yeah,
heads down kind of
I
research.
do.
Yeah.
And funny enough, I actually consider myself to be an introvert. I have had to really practice coming out of my shell in order to just sort of exist in law. And I do really enjoy business development and talking
Yeah.
to people now. I do, but it took a while for me. And so I think that my natural resting state was to be in my office with my head, in a book or in the computer or
Yeah.
whatever, because that was where I felt most valuable. Now I feel like, after years of experience, you feel like you probably got the hang of it well enough to speak coherently to a group of people and whatnot. And now
Sure.
I also like educating people on trademarks because I find it so fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, I mean, you find all kinds of personalities in any profession. I mean, introverts, extroverts, people in between. I mean, I don't think it takes one personality type to be a certain profession. I mean, even in
Right.
sales, I mean, there's all types. It's not just one type of person. So
And thank God for that, right? Because there
sure.
are there are certain types of people that if all lawyers were like them, I would have run away a long time ago.
What is it? What are the things that you find distasteful? Obviously, you're hinting at things. I mean,
I just, I find some of the mm, jockeying and ego to be distasteful.
yeah,
Luckily, I don't encounter. That's another reason I love IP. There's a lot of engineers, and I feel like, generally speaking, there's a lot less of, the ego, and the bravado. And to me, what I mean when I say that is that, that's not the point to me of what we're doing. Look, can we talk about what's real and the things that actually matter? That's what I mean. That's the type of working environment that I thoroughly enjoy.
got it, got it, got it. That makes sense. Okay, I understand. I've talked to a handful, interestingly enough, on this that were patent attorneys, PhDs. Two were, I want to say two, maybe three were PhDs. So and you suggested that. I mean, very technical in nature, right?
Yep.
Whether it was engineering stuff or life sciences. Yeah, they were terminal degree people.
Yes.
And I asked them, I
100%.
said, was that a requirement? They said no, but it's helpful,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Yep.
To be that. So almost out of necessity.
Right. Or, I mean, these days, I feel like a computer science degree or an electrical engineering degree, if you want to go into patent law, those seem to me to be the most valuable um, hard science degrees that you can have to start a career in patent law.
Okay, interesting. Well, I have an undergraduate degree in engineering. It was civil engineering, so it wasn't computer engineering, although I did a lot of programming as a kid. My son is actually going to go to Drexel and be a computer scientist, so
That's amazing.
maybe he can be a patent attorney.
Maybe he can.
All right. Just let me ask you a little bit about technology. The firm relying a lot of technology in the firm to run it. Have you guys embraced it?
Yeah, well, I am proud to say that, as an intellectual property firm, yes, when COVID hit, this firm really pulled it together, got everyone set up at home, and really embraced that model. And it was, I really love that about my firm, because the other thing that I find obnoxious about law is that there seems to be this longstanding attitude where if you're not in the office, you're not working.
Right.
And the sort of being there at 6 a.m. and leaving at 12 p.m. is rewarded or seen as being valuable. And again, I think that's not the point, because you're probably not being productive during all that time.
Right.
You're probably reading some online articles, and wasting time otherwise. So the firm had really turned away from that. And now we have, I think, what's probably mostly a remote work model. And that has allowed the firm to hire from much different backgrounds, a much more diverse array of scientific backgrounds. And it seems to have worked out really well. Now, I'm not the one who manages those processes every day, so I could be off base on that. But we hired a trademark paralegal, and she is remote, and no problems whatsoever. So it's really, specifically with trademark paralegals, it's hard to find them. So the fact that we were able to look beyond Houston is extremely helpful. It's really good to have an open mind about where the talent is.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't want to move to Houston, and I can't imagine why, because the weather is amazing. That's a joke. It is literally.
I assume that's a joke. I've been to Houston in the summer. I know what it's like right now.
Yeah, well, I apologize for that, because it is a hot, wet swamp right now.
Right. No, I know that. No. I mean, when people sort of relax that bias towards having people in the office, I mean, it just expands the talent pool in any business. I mean, people are finally realizing, shit, my talent pool goes limitless as soon as I can bring people in from anywhere.
Right.
So it's a good thing.
Especially being in Houston. Houston is a big historic oil and gas town. So we have a lot of mechanical engineers and, engineers whose background is more tailored to oil and gas, products and services. But if we go out, in the rest of the country, we can find whatever background we want, and they don't have to move to Houston anymore. So now we have just expanded our, the areas of service that we can provide to clients.
Yeah, I agree. What's it like to live in Houston these days? It's interesting. I went to a conference many years ago now, and there was a presentation by a demographer talking about Houston, and they asked a couple questions about what people thought about Houston, the makeup of Houston. And much to many people's surprise in the audience, Houston has been labeled as the most diverse city in the country.
I was actually going to say something like that. The thing about Houston is, whatever you identify with, it's here. I promise. There's a Uyghur restaurant here, Chinese Uyghur restaurant.
Really?
There is,
yeah.
There is every ethnicity here. There are communities for every faith here, and it is extremely diverse. The thing I think I really love about Houston, I mean, the diversity is great, but the restaurants here are amazing.
Yeah. Good restaurants.
Really have some standout food here.
Ninfa's, right? Ninfa's.
Well, ninfas. I
I'm
mean, ninfas
joking.
is just
I'm teasing you. I know that's like the sort of on every corner, like Mexican restaurant.
I'm not here to judge. I'm
No,
not
I know.
here to
I was
judge.
kidding you. I was kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
Um,
I know it's a very diverse place. I was just making the point that like I think a lot of people have a certain perception about it. That's probably wrong, right?
well, I'm curious to know what that perception is because I'm to me, there's not really a stereotype for Houston. I know the stereotype for Dallas, and I think that there's some truth to that.
Yeah.
Houston, I don't know. I mean, what is it like perceived to be like a cowboy city or
Well, oil, gas, cowboy,
yeah,
conservative, you know, I don't know. I mean, Texas obviously is in the news a lot these days.
yeah. Um, well, and on that, I believe that Harris County is blue. The
Yeah,
rest of the state.
Harris County is. Well, I mean, all cities across the country, as a rule, the urban centers tend to be more blue.
Right.
You get outside of that, which I
Yeah.
never quite understood because it's almost like you're voting against your best interest in many, for both sides, right?
It's just a really odd dynamic to me.
Yeah,
There's definitely, Harris County is blue and a sea of red. And people are very, very, very passionate about the politics here. I kind of keep my opinions to myself for the most part because I'm not interested in, first of
yeah,
all, I'm too damn stubborn. You're not going to change my mind.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
set in my ways.
Where do you
But,
live? Do you live in the city or you live in the suburbs?
oh, I live in the city. The office is downtown, and so I live very close to downtown.
Okay. Yeah, I used to go there a good bit. I'd, run or hit golf balls in Memorial Park. I had a friend that lives in Houston and used to be involved with a business there. So I've spent a good bit of time.
I just went on a run at Memorial Park yesterday morning.
Oh, did you?
Yep.
Oh boy, what was the temperature?
Well, it was like 6:45, but I was absolutely drenched in sweat. And that the thing that really gets you at Houston is the humidity.
Right.
It seems like it makes it so much harder to cool off.
Yeah. Well, I live in South Florida, so I know what humidity is.
Yep, there you go.
Although it's not as bad as Houston. Houston is a different level, I think.
Yeah, one way I describe Houston summers is when you get all ready, you shower, you dry your hair. Maybe you don't, I do. And then you walk out the door and it's like you're slapped in the face with a wet, hot wool sweater. You can't get off. So,
Yeah. Well, it cools off in the winter. That's the one thing about there. I mean, I know it does cool off as soon as you get through the summer months.
yeah, but the summer lasts for 10 months.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, warm climates. There's only a few places in the country where it really stays warm all year round. That's probably one of them. Where I am is definitely another.
Yeah.
Anyway. Well, just to wrap it up here, what do you want to say to people is sort of like to know about your firm and what's the best way to connect with you if they want to do business with you?
Yeah. So, I mean, in case I haven't endorsed my firm enough, I do feel like they are, there's a lot of extremely talented people at my firm. I do really enjoy my coworkers. There's a very congenial atmosphere there. We have a gorgeous new office downtown. Like,
Oh, nice.
definitely a perk. Yeah, and I would love to talk to or work with whoever is interested or provide additional information to. Our firm can handle, I'm going to say, any IP matter that someone could throw at us, as long as we have the staff, to staff the project.
Hmm.
But we would love to talk to whoever is interested. One of the areas that people are sort of focusing right now is IP and NFTs and cryptocurrency.
Yep.
That's a big area that the firm's like looking to make a push in. There's a lot of very interesting, tangential subjects, around that. There's going to be some new enforcement methods coming up. So anyone's welcome to reach out to me. My contact information is available on our website, which is obwbip.com. My email address is my last name, which is HARGADON @obwbip.com. I think I should get an award for not mincing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. That's how to contact us.
Okay, excellent. Good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate spending time with you. And for everybody, again, this is Keelin Hargadon with, I'm going to say it again, Osha Bergman Watanabe and Burton, OBWB in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
And this show is sponsored by EmotionTrac, and we are a legal tech platform that helps litigators do case prep, prepare for mediation. We allow you to tell your story on our digital platform and receive unbiased feedback and emotional insights. Thank you very much, Keelin. It's nice to spend time with you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
You bet.